Sometimes when you go into a movie and you don't really know what to expect, that's when you get some of your favorites and least favorites that you'll see. For me, Last Breath by Alex Parkinson is one such movie. This movie, starring Woody Harrelson, Simu Liu, and Finn Cole, is a film about a true event that happened. And the director, Alex Parkinson's, he directed a documentary about this event. The documentary has the same name, Last Breath. I haven't seen the documentary yet, but after seeing this movie, I'm interested and may have to seek it out. And it's about a saturation dive. And if you aren't aware what saturation diving is, it's considered to be one of the most dangerous jobs in the world. They work on deep underwater gas line pipes and other natural gas pipes and oil pipes, oil rigs, all sorts of stuff like that. I don't know much about it. I only know a little bit about it. And this is clearly an event that Parkinson's really must have had a profound impact on for him to do two feature films about the same thing. Obviously, very different mediums. One's a documentary, and one's a rendition of that event. Though, from what seems, it plays pretty close to the actual events. The movie starts off with us meeting Chris Lemon, who is played by Cole. He is the newest saturation diver on his little three-man tandem. He's paired with Duncan, who's played by Woody Harrelson, and Dave, who's played by Simu Liu. Duncan who's on his last dive, and he's kind of like Chris's mentor. As we're called out, Chris and Dave will be the two that go in the water, and Duncan will be the one who's in what they call the bell, kind of like overseeing things. He's kind of the one monitoring things. To me, it kind of comes across as he's the lead of the other trio, and then they have people on the ship that are assisting them. Like they have a lead there, and then they have the ship crew as well that all kind of work with them. And as they are underwater, the weather is quite bad. The sea's brutal. There's bad weather. It's very choppy, and the ship systems go awry. And this causes the ship to drift, which causes the bell to get pulled along, and that causes issues with the oxygen cords going down to the divers, so they have to get to safety. And that's what kind of leads to the problems. Chris and Dave have to get on top of what's called a manifold, which is where all the it's like the station of like the pipelines underneath the water. And as they're getting up to the top of it, they both get up top, but Chris's what they call the umbilical, which is what's tying them back to the bell and is supplying them with oxygen, it gets snagged, and it snaps, and then that causes him to fall to the ocean floor. And then what happens after this is they're trying to stabilize the ship, and then as they finally get a chance to go and find Chris, it's really emotional. It's really impactful. It's really well shot and really well done. Everybody in this movie, I feel like they did a great job. Like you could tell that there was a lot of passion behind this project from the cast and crew. They really seem to take it seriously, and it's a very tight script. It's well shot, and you could tell they wanted to get into it. They didn't want to faff about. They didn't want to overwhelm you with a bunch of details that are of varying relevance to the overall story. The movie's only a little over 90 minutes long, and they work into it perfectly, or pretty much perfectly, in my opinion. We get enough information about our three main guys, and as well as like some of the other members of the crew, that we can feel a little bit of a connection with them. We feel like the emotions that they convey, and it's a pretty powerful movie. I really enjoyed this film. Some of the imagery is really great, like because it's filming off in Aberdeen, Scotland, I think, or at least that's where it's set. My biggest complaint with the movie would probably just be some of the editing was a little too choppy for my liking. But otherwise, I really enjoyed this movie. It's in close competition for my favorite movie of the year so far. And I'll just throw this out there. that the decision to cast Woody Harrelson as Duncan, because they show a little at the end of the movie, they show a little video camera film of the real world Duncan. You see him, and man, Woody Harrelson and Duncan, like Woody Harrelson's a dead ringer for the guy. He looks so much like him. It's actually kind of crazy. Maybe a little older than Duncan actually was at the time, but like it's really, really, really close. I guess to summarize my feelings on this film, it worked out much better for me than I expected. Again, all I knew really going into this was that it was a movie about saturation diving and that the director had done a documentary by the same name about the same event. The movie is gripping and intense, and if it's one of those things that, like, if this wasn't a true story, it would be so hard to believe the events of the film happened. And everybody, it really felt like they cared about this project and they cared about this story and they wanted to get it right. And for me, I'm going to say this movie's an absolute, like, 9 out of 10 for me. It's competing for my favorite movie of the year so far, probably right up there with Companion 1 and 2. I highly recommend you go check this film out. And I hope if you do, you liked it as much as I did. Anyways, that's about it.